Good evening. It is April the 17th, 2017. It's been a little while since I've recorded a weekly weather briefing. I've been very busy over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. The good news is that over the last 2 weeks, the weather was somewhat quiet, not a whole lot that we had to deal with, just some garden variety showers and a couple of thunderstorms. And that was up until yesterday. We did have one severe warm cell that was in Ballard County, and that one was producing winds up to 60 miles per hour and some very small hail that moved through the city of Barlow, Kentucky. So we did have some severe storms that were out and about yesterday, and that was on Easter Sunday, April 16th. So now that things are quieting down a little bit, we just had a very soggy Monday. We did have about a half inch to an inch of rain over the last 24 hours over most of the entire purchase area, but there were some locations in McCracken and Ballard County, even parts of Carlisle, that picked up over 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. So some incredible differences when you go from those areas through Paducah back through La Center, and then if you go to Mayfield, they only got about an inch or less of rainfall. So there was a quite a big difference in the rainfall totals, and it varied from county to county. And we're starting to move into that time of the year where thunderstorms are going to be producing a lot more in one county than the neighboring county next to it. So sometimes that is very hard to pinpoint and predict ahead of time up until the last 20 to 30 minutes before those storms begin to arrive. So just keep that in mind. We're getting into that time of the year that there could be a 20% chance of rain, and you could still pick up an inch of rain at your house because 20% means that there's only about 20% of the area that we could see rainfall at, or it's basically just a percentage. People can see it differently, but either way, when you see the lower percentage, you think, oh, 20%, not going to get any rain, but there's still that chance of rain there. And typically, we're getting to that time of the year that there's going to be thunderstorms if you get anything, and those can put down an inch of rain in your neck of the woods. Meanwhile, the person next to you gets hardly anything. So keep that in mind as we go into the rest of the spring and into the summer months. This is basically a radar loop of the rain that moved through the area today. You can tell that it kept us soaked for quite a few hours today, mainly around noon and just after that. And that rain is just now beginning to move out of the Pennyroyal area of western Kentucky as of this recording. Let's look at what the weather has in store for the rest of this week. This is going to start us out at 6 p.m. This evening on Monday. That rain is moving out of the area, and we begin to see a little bit of a break, maybe a couple of afternoon scattered showers and thunderstorms on Tuesday, but I think that will mainly be confined to the purchase area of Kentucky and western Tennessee. Anybody in southern Illinois or southeast Missouri probably won't have to deal with as much coverage, but really anywhere you're at, the coverage or intensity of these storms are expected to be on the low side of the scale. So keep that in mind that this is not going to be another washout day like today was, but just some scattered hit and miss thunderstorms. And if you get hit with one, you could definitely easily pick up a quick half inch of rain. And if some of the storms train over the same areas, you could get even more than that. Most of you will end up with no measurable rainfall through the day on Tuesday. As we get into Wednesday night and early Thursday morning, we're going to see some clouds building back into the area, and this is ahead of a cold front that will move through the area on late Thursday night, bringing with it the chance of showers and thunderstorms. Right now, I think the severe weather threat is going to be at a minimal, but there are some ingredients that are there, so I will have to keep an eye on those severe weather parameters and see if we end up having to enhance the threat of severe weather on Thursday night, early Friday morning. The GFS moves that rain out by Friday and brings more rain back in for the day on Saturday. This will be with an area of low pressure that is very questionable on the track. If this low goes to the south of us, we're on the cool side of the system, and we could still get a couple of thunderstorms, but we're going to be looking at mainly the strong thunderstorms to remain to the south and east of this little red L that you see, which is the surface low pressure. If we see that red L going right over our area or just to the north of us, then we could easily see some strong thunderstorms to even severe thunderstorms associated with it. We don't know the exact answers to the questions that remain with this track of low pressure, and that is going to be the key to figuring out what we are going to see weather-wise for the upcoming weekend. That's still a little bit less than a week out, so we have plenty of time to monitor that. First, we have to get through two more rounds of storms, one on Tuesday that will hit and miss some locations, and then another round for sure coming through the entire area on Wednesday Thursday night and early Friday morning. So we have some weather to get through before we can get to the upcoming weekend. And as we get into the beginning of next week by this time, it looks like hopefully things will begin to quiet down somewhat. Let's go ahead and look at temperatures for the upcoming 10 days, at least for the rest of this week. Temperatures on Tuesday are going to rise into the mid to upper 70s, I think. I think this model is correct on what is going to happen for tomorrow. I think we will see a couple of peaks of sunshine just depending on how these storms fire up for tomorrow afternoon. By Wednesday, that's probably going to be the pick day of the week. We shouldn't have to worry about any thunderstorms. Can't rule out a heat of the day pop-up thunderstorm, but chances are 20 to 10%. As we look at the temperatures for Wednesday, low to mid 80s are a good question, and I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of people get into the upper 80s, depending on if we see a lot of sunshine on Wednesday. Thursday temperatures should be about the same, and this is just going to be fuel to the fire as we get into Thursday night and early Friday morning. Things drastically cool down for Friday, and then we cool down still for Saturday. This is going to be very questionable, depending on where that low tracks is going to depend on our temperatures. But I think for sure, no matter where the low tracks, on the back side of that low, behind the cold front, there are going to be some cooler temperatures for this upcoming Sunday. So it looks like we are going to have to deal with slightly cooler temperatures. Upper 50s to low 60s look to be a good bet for high temperatures. So that will be quite cool for mid to late April temperature standards. For next Monday at this time, it looks like we're going to be looking at upper 60s to low 70s. I would begin to raise these temperatures as time moves forward if we don't see any system moving into the area around that time frame. Here is the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center's outlook for the upcoming 7 days when it comes to rainfall. This is going to vary depending on where you live, depending on how the thunderstorms act. As always, if things change this upcoming week for severe weather standards, I will post an updated video concerning that, so that way you are updated and prepared for any impending storms that happen to hit the Purchase region this week. Have a good week.